Prime Cake episode, I mentioned that Prime had sold itself 1 billion bottles worldwide. So to celebrate that insane milestone, Logan Paul and KSI decided to hold themselves a Willy Wonka-style contest where fans had a chance to win a solid gold bottle of Prime worth $500,000.
There's a Circle K right up the street. I'll buy every single bottle of fucking Prime out in that bitch right now. Fuck it. Say it again,
Fans
nigga?
had a chance to win a solid gold bottle of Prime worth $500,000.
How?
In the end, a kid in the UK ended up taking home the prize. But you see, the whole...
I never had a fucking chance. A nigga from the UK? Why wasn't it like an international...
thing is just a bit too convenient, especially when you consider everything we know about Logan Paul and his showmanship, for lack of a better word. Reading all these news headlines, it felt to me like there was something else going on with this story. And boy,
you telling me the food theory nigga? Nah, you telling me the food theory nigga's about to expose you, Logan? The food theory nigga's about to expose you?
Doing some heavy calculations, statistical analyses, and embracing my inner legal, I found that this whole contest may have just been primed for scandal from the start. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, your golden ticket that's a good one. The Internet's best
That's a good one. I'm not gonna
now,
cap.
regardless of what your opinions are
that
of
nigga
Logan Paul
KSI,
and
ugly as
KSI,
hell,
whether you're
boy.
a hardcore low gangster or you're mad that their beverage just ruined your delicious cake, these guys just reached 1 billion bottles sold in less than 2 years. And that right there, that is an achievement worth commending.
Damn.
Sure, they tend to push the envelope when it comes to honesty and decency.
I'm not gonna lie. Prime is like niggas that make homemade Kool-Aid. You feel me? When I make homemade Kool-Aid in the pitcher, that shit gonna make kids have diabetes. You feel me? Like if I make Kool-Aid at home, my kids gonna have diabetes. No cap. That's what I feel like Prime was made. I feel like a nigga made Prime. It just poured the whole sugar tank in that bitch. Because what the fuck? That shit is so flavorful, I'm not even gonna lie.
Decency and basic human integrity, but that number is honestly just very impressive. To give you a bit of perspective, Gatorade sells slightly over 1 billion units every year, accounting for 2/3 of the sports drink market. Then in rolls Prime, and suddenly it's punching in the same weight class as the most recognizable brand in the space. I'm adult enough to give credit where credit's due, and yeah, that deserves some level of credit. So in honor of this monumental milestone, the duo decided to host themselves a little bit of a publicity stunt. They created a solid gold Prime bottle worth $500,000. A bottle that one lucky fan would win by guessing a 6-digit code. Classic Logan though, there's always a catch. You see, Logan and KSI actually created 2 different bottles, one for London and one in New York. And they partnered with Mark Rober to make 2 cases that would
so they did have
cool. Wasn't guessed within 48 hours.
On November 10th,
the Golden Prime will be encased in bulletproof glass.
To get to it, you must correctly guess a 6-digit code.
The code is not guessed correctly within 48 hours.
The torch is inside the case.
I need to move somewhere, right? I need to move somewhere that is just relevant for content creators to do shit. Because out here in Arizona, you would never see a gold bottle in Arizona. You barely see water in this bitch. Why the fuck would we have a gold bottle? You feel me? Like, I need to move somewhere where it's attracted to content creators so I could just partake. I could just join and get in. Because, like, what niggas come to this hot-ass, dry-ass, sunny-side, desert-ass state? The only time niggas come out here is really to see Sedona. And they just look at the fucking mountains and dip.
And the gold Prime bottle will be incinerated.
And if this makes it seem like 2 people could potentially win, guess again, Logan ain't that charitable. Instead, as soon as the correct code was guessed at one location, the bottle in the other case would be immediately destroyed.
What kind of bullshit
the winner
is that?
Up being a young kid at the UK location. Logan and KSI honestly couldn't have picked a better kid to win the prize. And that right there is kind of the problem in all this. Everything just seems to be a little bit too perfect. Perfect enough to get me to set my BS meters to 5. And look at all the potential failure points here. For instance, is that bottle really worth what they say? Wouldn't exactly be the first time Logan has overhyped the value of something that he was working on. Even if it was worth all that, something just feels off about this particular
Why would you just give niggas like $500K for the bottle?
Deep dive into this thing in the hopes of trying to expose it. Let's start by looking at the focal point of this entire contest.
Hold on, that's kind of glazed. That's kind of dick suck. You purposely trying to go and like expose this nigga? Like, You going out your way to do this, my nigga? That's kind of like,
the bottle itself. According to Logan Paul, each of these gold prime bottles was made of solid 24 karat gold, the purest form of gold out there, thereby making the total value of each bottle somewhere close to the cool $500,000 range. Honestly, when I first heard all that, I thought to myself, yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, gold is, you know, pretty darn expensive. But then I saw this video Logan Paul made as part of the promotion for the contest. In it, Logan goes to one of the many famous New York City pawn shops and tries to sell the thing. One thing, though, really sets off my warning bells here.
Are you mining now tomorrow? And then I see how much goes.
No, because if you melt it, then it won't be prime anymore. You've instantly halved the value during prime.
Wait, so is the gold in the bottle worth $500,000?
gives a fuck if it's prime? It's supposed to be 500K because of the bottle, nigga. Not because it's prime. What the fuck?
Or is it valued that highly because it's a limited edition prime product? Call me skeptical, but considering his track record, I hesitate to take him at his word. I don't believe that there is $500,000 worth of gold in that bottle, so I had to see it for myself firsthand. As of the recording of this episode, the price of 24 karat gold is around $64.40 per gram, meaning that $500,000 worth of 24 karat gold, that should be weighing you about 17 pounds of pure gold. It's hard to be sure of the bottle's exact weight just by looking at people handling the bottles themselves on video, and I obviously can't get my hands on it myself, especially not after this video. So how can we know for sure that this thing is actually worth $500,000? Well, we can use a tool that's even more valuable than gold: math. You see, all metals, including pure gold, have themselves a consistent density based all on how much mass it holds per unit.
My God, about to scientifically fuck you up, Logan. This nigga about to scientifically screw you, nigga. Like, what the fuck? Nigga about to use science and mathematics to fuck you over. Never.
This is represented by the formula D equals M over V. Density equals mass divided by volume. Since we can easily look up the density of gold, if we can determine the volume of the gold prime bottle, then we'll be able to calculate its mass and ultimately find out the bottle's true monetary value. But how can we figure out the volume of the prime bottle if we don't have it in our possession? Simple, it's prime. From the wavy exterior to the weird fractal patterns on the bottom, it seems that Logan and KSI have designed their gold prime bottle to be an exact replica of their normal prime bottle, except, you know, 24 karat gold. So what is the volume of a prime bottle? Well, your first instinct might be to look at the nutrition facts label and see that it says 500 milliliters probably on the side. However, it's important to remember that the volumes that you find on the side of your nutrition facts label only account for the volume of the actual liquid in the can. Therefore, to figure out the volume of the entire bottle of prime, you have to implement an ancient scientific technique. You see, as the story goes, in the 3rd century BC, Greek mathematician Archimedes was tasked with a mission. He had to find out if a gold crown was actually made of pure gold. Hashtag relatable. Archimedes knew that by dipping the crown in a bath of water, it would cause the water level inside to rise equal to the volume of the crown. Therefore, knowing the density then, he was able to find out that the crown was in fact not made of pure gold. So he took a page out of his book and calculated the volume of our prime bottle. It wound up being about 550 cubic centimeters. Taking into account the density and value of gold, this bottle of prime then should have itself a value of just over... No, that can't be right. Are you kidding me? $684,000. Turns out Logan and KSI, yep, they were lying to us. They were underselling the value of that bottle.
For the person who gets the gold bottle, I'm willing to buy it off of you.
Same.
And even if the winner really didn't trust them, the contest rules state that the winner could choose a check worth $500,000 instead.
Oh, okay, so I was
probably
chatting.
wouldn't want to do that because between the gold, the rarity, and the prestige, keeping the bottle was probably the smarter financial move. So if the bottle wasn't a scam, what about the contest itself? I mean, what were the odds that a little kid was gonna take home the top prize? What were the odds that anyone was gonna be taking home that top prize? When you stop and do the math, the odds are ridiculous. The code could have been any sequence of 6 digits from 000000 to 999999, meaning a total of 1 million possible combinations. Literally, the odds of winning that golden prime bottle were in fact 1 in a million. However, the odds that someone would guess the right code actually increased as the competition went on. As each person went up and inevitably guessed the wrong number, that number was then removed from the list of possible guesses at that location moving forward. This means that the first person in line has themselves a 1 in in a million chance of guessing correctly, but the second person in line has themselves a 1 in 999,999 chance, and so on and so forth through to the end of this game. So in theory, in food theory, if enough people came out to play, someone was gonna win eventually, right? Wrong. Essentially, it all boils down to the time limit, how much time each person had to guess, and how many total people would get to play. There's a couple things that we need to iron out though before we get into it. First, people were only allowed to guess one number at a time. If they got it wrong, they'd have to go to the back of the line and wait their turn again, meaning that one person wasn't just gonna be rattling off a bunch of numbers in their time limit. Secondly, the number selection was not a number pad, but rather a scroll wheel. A wheel that didn't really seem super easy to navigate across all the numbers. It would probably take you the whole time limit just to get to the number that you wanted. So we know that they had 1 million possible number combinations, but how many people ended up playing the game? Well, unfortunately, we don't know how many people took on the Gold Prime Challenge, but we can get a sense of how many people they expected to play the game. You see, the rules and the promotional materials made it clear that each competitor only had 20 seconds to make their guess. So if the lines moved optimally,
20 seconds
and the player made a guess every 20 seconds or so for an entire 48-hour competition, that would mean at max, Logan and KSI were expecting 8,640 people to play at each individual location. That means that the odds of someone winning the Golden Prime bottle was 8,640 divided by a million, 0.86% chance. If we lump together the odds of winning at both the UK and the US locations, well then the odds obviously double to a still measly 1.728%. I did mention earlier that the odds get better with each guess, which is true, but when you're dealing with odds this minuscule, they only get about 0.01% better, especially given the time constraint of 48 hours here. In short, the odds of anyone winning a Golden Prime bottle in this competition were minuscule, microscopic, unbelievably low. Sure, if we were talking about an infinite amount of time or just a couple of months, the code would absolutely be guessed. But like a lot of 90s comedies, time makes things a lot worse. And even those slim chances aren't really reflective of reality. Not only would there be some sort of delay between people's attempts, making it less likely
God on his side.
Every 20 seconds, but according to some TikToks of people who tried the game out for themselves, it seemed the clock was a bit more generous than just the 20-second marker, meaning even fewer players inputting codes, less chances that someone is gonna win this thing, probably closer to 0.25% that anyone would walk away with the golden bottle. Knowing all of this math, you're now asking me to believe that this kid actually legitimately won the contest? Yeah, I don't think so. So, am I saying that the contest was rigged? No, not definitively. While the odds were certainly low, around 1.728% that anyone would win, it certainly is in the realm of possibility. After all, the winning number was 954229. See what they did there? It's a prime number. If someone knew Logan's lack of subtlety and started guessing only prime numbers, their chance of guessing correctly would actually skyrocket to 8%. Still very, very low, but much more doable. However, after combing through all these rules and regulations, there was something else that caught my eye. The kid shouldn't have been allowed to play in the first place. Allow me to guide you to section 3 of the official contest rules labeled eligibility. The Prime Gold Bottle Instant Win Game promotion is open only to those who are at least 13 years of age. The rules then go on to say that if someone is older than 13 but younger than 16, they have to be accompanied by an adult. But it's as plain as day. If you ain't 13, you're not playing this game. Now, let's take a look at our lucky prize winner again. For obvious reasons, his identity is currently being kept anonymous, and it should stay that way. That being said, he does look a wee bit young to pass as a 13-year-old. If he was, in fact, under 13,
he might be 13.
The contest organizers should not have allowed him to play. Now, maybe it was technically his mom's turn who was present there with him, and she just allowed her son to put in the code on her behalf, but still, that would have rendered the guess null and void because of his age. Just the mere fact that this boy was allowed to touch the dial and pick a number, let alone the winning number, seems odd. Not to mention the fact that this underdog story capped off in the most dramatic way possible, with the kids selecting the right number just as time was ticking down to 0. I mean, come on, you can't write this stuff.
That nigga didn't have. Why was he looking like that? Hold on, I didn't even see this.
I mean, come on.
That nigga, that nigga looking like he just won the World Cup or some shit. That nigga just sitting there. That nigga just. He not even celebrating. He don't know what's going on, I swear.
You can't write this stuff. Except, yeah, you absolutely can write this stuff. And very clearly, they most likely did. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing technically illegal with this whole scenario. And that's the wonderfully gray zone that Logan loves to live in. The rules specifically say that the odds of someone winning will never be less than 1 in a million. And that's true. This also wasn't a random sweepstakes, where everyone needs to have an equal opportunity to win. And that's the kicker. This whole thing has been touted as a contest and not a sweepstakes, where sweepstakes stakes legally require random chance for any person to win, contests don't because they're subject to skill. Now, guessing a random number with insanely bad odds doesn't really seem all that skillful to me, but hey, it all depends on how they chose to define it. At the end of the day, the bottle was legitimate, and so was the competition. But like everything else, Logan and KSI always carve off the best story for themselves. They're showmen. That's why I was able to predict the outcome of their boxing matches not just once, not just twice, but 3 separate times. Because at the end of the day, they follow a narrative. They follow the narrative that'll get the most people tuned in to watch. The Golden Prime competition here made headlines everywhere. And this little boy guessing against all odds as the time ticked down to 0, it made for a heartwarming story that had these guys coming out ahead yet again, looking like millionaire playboy philanthropists.
Hey, you gotta.
And by the way,
as
if
much
you
as
are
you
still
hate these
doubtful
niggas,
that
they
this
play
thing
the
was most likely
game.
rigged from
And
the
they
very
play the game to
beginning,
win.
the whole
Well,
48 hours
KSI
where the
more than
gold
Logan,
bottles are gonna
low-key,
be melted
but-
away thing, complete lie. They had a secret contingency plan in place, buried in the finest of fine print here. A sort of sudden death scenario that would make it so someone would eventually win a bottle no matter what. The stakes were never real in the first place. So the next time Logan Paul and KSI have yet another contest, all you have to do to win is think like a corny Hollywood writer, a generic marketing executive, or, you know, a con man. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory.
I'm just glad.
Bon appetit.
I'm just glad that, you know, they didn't scam nobody. I'm glad that the gold is real from what he said. And yeah.